And good afternoon, everyone. This, what day is it? May the 23rd, 2024. I will call this County Commissioners meeting to order. And it is for the reception of the 2025 recommended budget from the county manager. Mr. Greer.
Good evening, Commissioners. I am honored. I'm honored to present the fiscal year 2025.
I don't mean to interrupt you. Let me make sure, because Commissioner Booth was going to be on the line. Is he on the line?
He is not.
He is not? Okay. All right. He texted me earlier this morning. I was just making sure. Sorry to interrupt you. You on a roll. You're on a roll.
Good evening, Commissioners, and I'm honored to present the fiscal year 2025 recommended budget. When we developed the fiscal year 2025 budget, we did so with the following development objectives: to set the funding in accordance with board priorities and the strategic plan, to maintain the current property tax rate, to establish an efficient fee structure and fee changes, to balance the budget by living within our means, utilize available fund balance to offset the implementation of the classification and compensation plan, and maintain current service levels. Additionally, this fiscal year, we aligned each budget with the strategic initiatives of health and safe community, quality governance, sustainable growth and development, culture and recreation, environmental stewardship. When we look at the board priorities for fiscal year 2025, this year you approved funding for the Crown Event Center totaling $144.5 million. An agreement with PWC to provide safe, regulated drinking water, and to build a distribution center in the Grays Creek for the Grays Creek community at a funding of $8.2 million. Broke ground on the Homeless Support Center with a project budget of approximately $17 million. This budget puts in an additional continues the program, public health programs on maternal mortality, and increases the funding for $50,000 for maternal mortality and another $50,000 for healthy conversations. And this budget also approves funding for employee recruitment and retention. When we look at the current priorities for this fiscal year, we anticipate Cafe West at West Regional Library to open this summer, along with the Employee Child Daycare Center to open this summer also. For the employee parking lot, we plan to bring back the final design or the design for the parking deck in the early fall. When we look at the fiscal year 2025 recommended budget overview across all funds, the total budget is $584,308,431. The funding for the general fund is recommended at $306,944. This budget recommends the property tax rate remain the same at 79.9 cents per $100 valuation, and a penny on the tax rate is $2,581,106. When we prepared this budget, we recommended budget, we had to contend with several economic factors, such as inflation locally at 3.3%, reduced growth in sales tax due to reduced consumer spending on discretionary funding, reduced ongoing challenges such as the opioid addiction, the mental health crisis, labor market challenges, wage growth, considering our class and compensation plan, interest rates not being reduced as we thought during this fiscal year. They're still at high rates, 5%. And then we also experienced supply chain issues. One of the supply chain issues that directly affect the county is the lack of contractors and subcontractors to initiate our capital projects in the previous budget and this current budget. When we look at general fund revenues, ad valorem taxes will be budgeted at $178.5 million. This represents a $4.2 million increase over the current fiscal year. Motor vehicle tax collections are softening because of discretionary spending by consumers, and budgeted at $27.7 million, or a $712,000 increase. The total funding for ad valorem and motor vehicle tax collections is approximately $206 million. When we look at the second component of general fund revenues that's been impacted this budget year, or the recommended budget, sales taxes will be budgeted at $64.2 million, or a $2 million decrease, approximately 1.3%. And this is statewide due to the lack of consumer spending, reduced consumer spending, concern about the economy. So we were on a webinar back in March, and this is statewide. Not only us, the Cumberland County is being affected by a slowdown in sales tax revenue, but it's actually, we're lower than most other counties. It's averaging 2.2% across the state. This budget, the recommended budget, it was balanced appropriating $10.4 million of fund balance in accordance with the board policies and maintains the unassigned fund balance goal of 12%. Actually, it exceeds the goal of 12%. How did we get to the budget? This fiscal year 2025 request, departments requested approximately $409 million during the budget. The adopted budget last fiscal year was approximately $382 million. Total increase request was $27,273,589. Now, I like to say that we really trimmed the budget, because if you think about what we put in the compensation study alone, that number for fiscal year 2025 request should be really around $430 million, okay? So with the departmental request of $409 million, we then reduced the budget by approximately $13.8 million to get to the recommended general fund budget of $395,406,944. That represents only a 3.4% increase. It deals with mainly Medicaid expansion, jail health, and the compensation plan. General fund positions. Departments requested 18 positions at a total cost of $1.1 million. I didn't recommend any positions moving forward due to the number of vacancies we currently have within the organization. We currently have about 550 vacancies. We did abolish 8 positions at a savings of $502,000. Now, for the class and compensation study, last year when we implemented the class and compensation study, I mentioned that we would not have a cost of living increase in this budget. But at the end of the audit, and once we receive the results of the audit, we plan to have a one-time compensation stipend for employees, and bring that forward in the month of October. When we look at general fund vehicles, departments requested 87 vehicles at an approximate cost of $8.2 million. I recommended only 17 vehicles for the sheriff office, animal services, emergency services, public library, Department of Social Services, detention center, and facilities management. We get the net cost is $1.4 million, and the recommended cost is approximately 1.5. We have the net cost due to reimbursements that we receive from various funding agencies that help defray some of the costs. When we look at general fund capital outlays, they total $562,000. I'm recommending full funding of all of those requests. The most critical request that we have was the Wi-Fi and cellular booster cost for the Department of Social Services. Anyone that's been in that building knows that the Wi-Fi service and the cellular service is challenging. That $187,500 net cost will increase the service and the signal. For court facilities, we have some seating and some maintenance in the courtrooms. And for facility maintenance, we have equipment replacement and building improvements that we need to bring forward for this next fiscal year. Well, each year we have some, I don't like to say unfunded mandates, but we have some mandates that we receive from our federal and state authorities. This current year, the only mandates that we receive are from the state government, an increase in the retirement contributions. For non-law enforcement employee contribution, it goes to 13.64, and the law enforcement employer contribution goes to 15.04. The increase, and then the state office of medical examiners increased the autopsy fees from $1,750 to $3,625, a 100% increase. When we look at education for Cumberland County Schools requested approximately $91 million for current expense. This recommended budget funds them at $89,648,337, meaning that's based on the 43.47% projected ad valorem and motor vehicle tax collections. That also represents a $2.1 million increase in the funding over this fiscal year versus last. Additionally, it recommends $5.3 million for school resource officers, funding of school resource officers, crossing guards, and school health nurses. The total budget recommended for Cumberland County Schools is $94,954,676. And this represents a total increase of $2.6 million. When we look at Fayetteville Technical Community College, the fiscal year 2025 requested amount budget from Fayetteville or FTCC was $15,718,600. The recommended amount is $250,000 less at $15,468,600. We provided one-time funding this fiscal year. FTCC included that in their request, and we decided to take that out. Additionally, they asked for another 1.5 or additional $250,000 in their capital request, and we reduced that down to $1.25 million due to that being the amount that we have in our debt models and capital models. We look at community agency funding. The fiscal year 2025 requested amount from community agencies total $1,077,545. We recommended only $203,693 to be funded due to budget constraints and then keeping the same amount of funding. Additionally, this is reduced from the current fiscal year by $81,372 because one agency was funded through our American Rescue Plan Act funding and keeping in the same funding guidelines that we had last year. If you receive ARPA funding, you didn't get recommended for community funding. New initiatives, we only have one new initiative this year, and this is related to doulas. And due to the recent number of reductions in the number of obstetricians providing childbirthing services in the county for the uninsured and underinsured, this budget recommends $150,000 to support a program to increase access to childbirthing services for the underinsured and uninsured. There are 5 doula practices currently in Cumberland County, and this will expand their services to the uninsured and the underinsured. Other funds and underfunded priorities, we'll first start with the Capital Investment Fund. You'll see the categories of debt service, FTC capital, like I mentioned before, capital improvement plan, preliminary capital, technology, maintenance and repairs, Grays Creek water as previously mentioned, and transfers out, totaling $32.5 million. One of the things a couple of projects I'd like to highlight, we have $1.1 million budgeted for the animal services, $300,000 planning the design for future projects, $200,000 for the Spring Lake Parks and Recreation Program, $2 million for the design, land purchase, and construction of a community center for the Cedar Creek community, and $2.5 million for the design and location and design, site selection and location for the International Farmers Market, and $9,000 for the government complex design. Additionally, you see a young lady standing at a keyboard at a kiosk. We plan to install digital kiosks in front of all major locations, 4 right now at a total cost of $100,000. This will be outside, it'll be cellular, it'll provide Wi-Fi, and it'll provide information on county jobs, court dates, court times, programs of the county, and other community events. When we look at the Crown Center Fund, we focus on the revenues. We look at the food and beverage tax. We anticipate this remaining flat at $10.1 million for the upcoming fiscal year. Additionally, with the occupancy tax, we look at that being flat at $2.2 million. Other funds and positions, and you'll see the consistent frame. The Fayetteville Area Metropolitan Planning Organization requested 4 positions due to vacancies and other being consistent with other departments are not recommending any positions moving forward. Other funds and capital outlays requested $660,000 recommended for community development, federal drug forfeiture, inmate canteen, parks and recreation, and the cemetery fund. The cemetery fund, really, the cemetery needs some improvements to the drive-in, the driveway coming in, and the road access, $26,000. When we look at the solid waste enterprise fund, solid waste positions, again, they requested 4 positions at a total cost of $446,000 approximately. Again, not recommending any new positions due to the number of vacancies they have within the department. And then for the solid waste enterprise fund, the recommended budget is $21,020,253. We're proposing an increase in the user fee per household, $37 to $130. The tire disposal fee, an increase in the city of Fayetteville yard waste fee, and wood pallets, clean lumber, and clean logs. Those fees will increase provide increased funding of approximately $4 million next fiscal year if approved. Additionally, for the solid waste enterprise fund, the recommended budget includes replacing a vehicle for $32,000, additional equipment for $235,000. Again, capital improvements for container sites and other landfill land improvements of $600,000, and then we reappropriated the transfer station for $7.9 million and continues the Belfield mining program. We increased the fees because the capacity for the landfill is only now 6 years before we reach full capacity. And so we need to get started on the transfer station in order to keep the capacity low. The Belfield mining program does a great job in doing that, but we're gonna need a transfer station in order to keep the capacity and and not go over capacity or fill up the landfill. In conclusion, the fiscal year 2025 recommended budget is presented for your review in consideration as you develop the adopted budget. Our goal was to prepare the recommended budget that supports and advances your strategic goals, initiatives, and your continued efforts in meeting the needs of our citizens. The budget advances these strategic goals and initiatives in a fiscally prudent manner and a fiscally sound manner without recommending a tax increase. This budget continues to address health education and disparities, mental health, public education, public safety, and the operation and capital needs of the organization and community. Additionally, this budget strategically provides flexibility to address any additional challenges that may occur in fiscal year 2025. I would like to thank your continued commitment to the financial prudence and long-term financial stability that you provide and leadership that you provide. This continues to maintain our strong financial condition. I'd like to acknowledge the commitment and dedication of our workforce in serving our community and providing our core mission of excellent customer service throughout every day. I would also like to thank the county departments on their willingness to prepare their budget in a fiscally sound manner and meet the needs of the organization. Special thanks goes out to the Budget and Performance Department, the county management, and administrative staff in developing, compiling, and balancing this budget. And to see the future meeting dates, next Thursday, the first budget work session at 5:30 in room 564, Wednesday, June 5th, 2024 at 7 p.m., the budget public hearing and optional work session, room 118, Tuesday, June 11th, 1 p.m., budget work session, Wednesday, June 19th, 2024 at 5:30, budget work session, and June 20th, 2024 at 5:30, budget work session, room 564.
If you go back one moment, just so on that Wednesday, June 5th, the budget public hearing will be down here. The work session will be, the optional work session will be in 564.
Yes. And the fiscal year recommended budget is available at cumberlandcountync.gov/budget. And that concludes my budget presentation of the fiscal year 2025 recommended budget.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. We appreciate that. Thank you for all the work you did. Thank you for that finance department and for the staff for all the work that you put in it. I know the commissioners will review that and look forward to getting to work. If I can take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
We are adjourned. Thank you.